You know, ladies and gentlemen, I had a great opportunity to meet a very uh, friendly couple from Montreal and Meductic, New Brunswick. I was doing some podcasts on the Olympics, including something on Etienne Desparteau and the lady who was from the Montreal region, a great area of La Chine. He said, well, yeah, but do you know about Louis Cyr? I said, of course. Who doesn't know about Louis Cyr? According to lore and to most Canadian historians, he's the greatest strongman in Canadian history. Now, the hammer throw victories for Canada this week were tremendous, but it all comes back to this guy. He died at the age of 49, but he passed away with a career spanning the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Born Cyprien Noah Cyr, nicknamed Louis, again, a Quebecois strongman. He recorded feats including lifting 500 pounds with one finger and backlifting 4,337 pounds or 2 tons. Shows Cyr to be, according to the former International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness chairman Ben Weider, a fellow Canadian, as stated in 2000, he is the strongest man ever, and that's where the term strongman came in. He was also known as the Canadian Samson and the strongest man who ever lived. 5'8", 340 pounds. Now, not born in Canada, but Canada East, Saint Cyprien de Napiaville, coming of a French-Canadian family, began developing his extraordinary strength at an early age. From the age of 12, Cyr worked in a lumber camp during the winters and on the family's farm the rest of the year. Discovering his exceptional strength at a very young age, he impressed these fellow workers with his feats of strength. After learning of the tale, Cyr attempted to mimic the practice of legendary strongman Milo of Croton, who as a child carried a calf on his shoulders, continuing to carry it as it grew into a full-grown bull and he into a grown man. Cyr's calf, however, bolted one day, kicking him in his back, after which he instead began carrying a sack of grain, a quarter mile every day, adding 2 pounds each day. According to one of these biographers, his mother decided should let his hair grow like Samson in the Bible, and of course she curled it regularly. Now, he started his strongman career at the age of 17, after some publicity came about due to an incident where the young Louis was reported to have lifted a farmer's heavily laden wagon out of the mire in which it had become stuck. He was matched in a contest against Michaud of Quebec, who was recognized as Canada's strongest man. Cyr beat him in tests of lifting of heavy stones by hoisting a granite boulder weighing 480 pounds. Now, in 1878, the Cyr family emigrated to Lowell, Massachusetts, in the States. In Lowell, Cyr changed the name from Cyprien Noé to Louis, as it was easier to pronounce in English. Again, his great strength brought him fame. At 17, he weighed 230 pounds. He entered his first strongman contest in Boston at the age of 22, lifting a horse off the ground. The fully grown male horse was placed on a platform with 2 iron bars attached, enabling Cyr to obtain a better grip. The whole horse weighed at least 3/4 short ton, or 0.68 ton. In 1882, while working as a logger, he married Melina Comtois. The following year, he and his wife returned to Lowell, hoping to capitalize on his fame there. A tour of the Maritimes was organized, and while it may have benefited the organizer, Cyr gained no profit financially. He began touring Quebec with his family show they called the Troupe Cyr. Soon proving his immense strength, he was urged by friends to enter the exciting, albeit highly precarious world of pro strongmen, lifting mainly crude, solid, or shot-filled weights. From 1883 to 1885, he served as a police officer in Montreal. Following this, he went on tour with a troupe that included a wrestler, a boxer, and a weightlifter. He entered a strongman competition in March 86 at Quebec City against a reigning Canadian strongman, David Michaud. Cyr lifted a 218-pound barbell with one hand to Michaud's 150 pounds and a weight of 2,371 pounds on his back to his opponent's 2,071 pounds to win the title of the strongest man in the country. With little reward at his early foray into professional weightlifting, he was forced to seek other employment. Cyr became a police officer after breaking up a knife fight and carrying both participants to the police station. Now, prudent with his earnings, he left the police force and purchased a tavern restaurant in St. Cunegonde, where he also featured a gymnasium and became a mecca for strength athletes and fighters. He was well acquainted with John L. Sullivan, the then world heavyweight champion, being one of the few to defy Sullivan's commands to drink when he drank. Sullivan was known as the Boston Strong Boy and was very powerful, but not in Cyr's class. Cyr, happy in his own environment, bet all comers when challenged to perform. His exploits have been well publicized in the Picayune, a police gazette published by Richard K. Fox, the proprietor and promoter of other strength athletes, E.G. Travis, Eugene Sandow, etc. Fox offered a side bet of $5,000 to anyone who could beat Cyr at one of his strength feats. Promoted by Fox, he went on tour circa 1885 to 1891, beating, amongst others, Sebastian Miller, Bienkowski or Cyclops, August Johnson, and Richard Purnell, plus continuously challenged without success Eugene Sandow with a genuine diamond-studded belt to be awarded to the winner should such an event ever took place. It never did. Sandow avoided any such challenges, though throughout his esteemed career, after early mistakes, like the time he was beaten by McCann. There was no doubt that Cyr was an unusual man regarding size and measurements, the latter often causing debate. Although Dr. Dudley A. Sargent, famous Harvard University physical director, measuring Cyr in 1895 when he was 32 and weighed 291 pounds, Sargent's lists Cyr's height as 5'8.5". Other measurements, most on the conservative side as compared to other biographers, were neck 20 inches, biceps 20 inches, forearms 16.3 inches, wrists 8.2 inches, chest normal 55.2 inches, chest expanded 60 inches, waist 47, hips 48, thighs 28.5, knees 17, and calves 19.3, far short of the quoted 28, but perhaps a possible 23 later when of higher body weight. Ankle was 10.3 inches and shoulder width with calipers. Across the deltoids, 25.6. The details were just one set of figures related to Cyr's size, others being recorded by Willoughby when, for example, Cyr was 47 in 1910, gave him calf 23, neck 22 3/4, biceps 21.5, chest normal 59, and thighs 33, with other parts to match the increase in weight, being at the time a heavier 365. Ben Wheeler of the Wheeler brothers, who was privileged to access family archives, was even more generous, giving arm size 24, forearms 19, and calves the disputed 28 inches, following a similar line to Jouett. Now, while several of Cyr's feats of strength may have been exaggerated over the years, some were heavily documented to remain impressive. These included lifting a platform on his back holding 18 men for a total weight of 4,336 pounds, lifting a 535-pound weight with one finger, pushing a freight car up an incline, not a decline, an incline. At 19, he lifted from ground up to his shoulder a rock officially weighed at 514 pounds. Now, he eventually bet Eugene Sandow's bent press record, and therefore the heaviest weight lifter in one hand by 2 pounds to a total of 273. Now, perhaps his greatest feat occurred in 1895 when he was reported to have lifted 4,337 pounds on his back in Boston by putting 18 men on a platform and lifting them. One of the most memorable displays of strength occurred in Montreal on October 12, 1891, when he resisted a pull of 4 drawn horses, 2 in each hand, as grooms stood cracking the whips to get the horses to pull harder. A feat again demonstrated in Ottawa with Queen Victoria's team of drawn horses during her royal visit. While in Ottawa, he volunteered with the police when he took deputies to round up a local gang of miscreants. They turned him away, claiming he would be too slow due to his bulk. He challenged the regular officers to a foot race, beating a majority, and he took them on. He patrolled as a police officer between 1883 and 1885 in Saint-Cunegonde, now known as Petit Bourgogne, Little Burgundy, in Montreal. Both the Parc Louis Cyr, the Place des Hommes Forts, Strongman Square, are named after him. Statues of them are located at the Place des Hommes Forts and the Musée de la Civilisation in Quebec City. The high school in his hometown in Napierville is also named after him. Now, though no fault of his own, many of Cyr's lifts, like his measurements, have been exaggerated or misquoted. In particular, his celebrated backlift in Boston of 18 men of a platform is usually generously estimated at 4,300 pounds, which, allowing for a very heavy platform of at most 500 pounds, meant that each man on average would have weighed approximately 211 pounds. Not completely accurate, but not completely negative. Now, Cyr was also credited with side pressing 273 pounds with one arm to right, a lift witnessed by Britain's great champion Tom Poirier, who described it as more of a jerk press. The dumbbell and the huge thick-handled one was lifted to shoulders with two hands before the single-handed overhead move. Cyr's dumbbells were often so unwieldy that many respected strongmen were unable to lift them off the floor, let alone lift them overhead. Now, one particular dumbbell of Cyr's weighed, when empty, 202 pounds. It was the same bell that had defeated a drove of former strength athletes, and it was exchanged by his owner, 280-pound police chief Joseph Moncoeur of Quebec, who could and did bend press the weight for a modern set of York weights. Thus, it came into possession of the late Bob Hoffman and Mike Dietz. According to Strength and Health magazine, Hoffman, after several attempts, was able to bend press it, as did the much lighter 150-pound Sig Klein. John Grimmick later also bent pressed it half a dozen times or so one afternoon, when the weight was increased to 269.5 by adding, as it happened, the lead type from Mark Berry's classic tome, Physical Training Simplified. Hence the reason the book was never reprinted. Cyr was a big man in all ways, bone, heart, and size, being a great trencherman, eating more than 4 normal men. Up to 6 pounds of meat in one meal, a genuine gourmand, increasing weight enormously in his later years. His lightest body weight was when he competed against August Johnson, then just 270 pounds, although his normal contest condition was near 320. Cyr's wife, Melina, by contrast, never weighed more than 100 pounds. In 1886, Cyr met and defeated Richard Pennell, then Pennell being 40, Louis just 23. In 1888, on the 1st October at Betierville, Quebec, he lifted 3,536 pounds of pig iron for his first record in the backlift. Now, on the 1st of December 1891 at Sommier Park in Montreal, before some 10,000 people, Cyr resisted a pull of 4 draught horses, 2 on each side, despite grooms cracking their whips to encourage the horses to pull harder and strain their haunches. In January 1892, he embarked to England with partner horse Barry, arousing much interest and curiosity as his London debut at the Royal Aquarium, with 5,000 people packing the theatre to watch Cyr's act and witness his open challenge to the wild world of strongmen, many celebrities of which were in the audience, with a side wager of 1,000, equivalent to about 98,000 pounds as of 2015. It was on this historical occasion, of January 1992, that Cyr pressed the pre-mentioned 273 and a 7/4 pound dumbbell. Many years later, Doc Coma, son-in-law of Louis, loaned Cyr's famous dumbbell to the Weeder's Your Physique office in Montreal for a month, during which time over 500 people tried and failed to lift the weight. Now, during his first London show, many other feats followed, all exceeding contemporary records, culminating in the famous backlift. Placing a number of men upon a heavy platform resting across 2 trestles, he ducked beneath the platform, placed his back below the center, and raised both the contraption and the passengers clear off the trestles. Weight on this occasion was estimated at 3,635 pounds. Traveling extensively throughout the UK, he also visited Scotland, raising and carrying for a distance one of the famed Dinnie stones. Very popular in Britain, he was feted by celebrities and royalty alike, including the Prince of Wales and Queen Victoria. After returning to the States on 27 May, he did his best backlift in Boston, again, with 4,000 pounds estimated, consisting of 18 bulky men. During his most active period, circa 1896, on March 31st, he did a clean and jerk, the cleanest misnomer, of 347 pounds, then a world record, without science or skill, little of any dipping. Reputable witness Oscar Mathis said the lift was closer to a straight-legged press. He did a one-handed deadlift with a dumbbell weighing 425 pounds, made harder by the fact that the bar was 1.5 inches thick. On 7th and 8th May 1896, he performed a crucifix with 97.4 pounds in his right hand and 88 pounds in his left. Some authors offer credit him with holding out with one arm, 131.25 pounds. He also dumbbell pressed 162 pounds for 36 reps, did a one-finger lift, first with 552 pounds, and the next day made it 553. Lifted via one hand, style not specifies, but most suspect using hand and thigh method, 987 pounds, plus again using hand and thigh, 1,897.25 pounds. Now, for years, Louis pictured some as a modern biblical Samson with tresses to match. In the folds of his long hair, he would tie 3 50-pound weights, one on each side and one in the center, with all 3 weights dangling from his scalp. He would also spin around, swirling the weights around his head. By coincidence, on his visit to Britain, The top of the pops was a ditty entitled Get Your Hair Cut. Louis must have taken the hint, as afterwards he also always sported short hair. Now, more power of the arm and shoulder was demonstrated by a stunt of stacking 4 50-pound weights, one on top of the other, on his half-flexed arm, balancing them whilst walking across the room. Now, Cyr learned boxing and wrestling for a match. While in Montreal, on March 25th, 1901, Cyr wrestled Edouard Beaupré, who was known as a giant man. Cyr's height was measured at 5'8.5" inches, and again he weighed 365 pounds. Beaupré's height was measured at 8 feet 2.5 inches, and he weighed 365 pounds. Of course, Cyr won. Now, by 1904, Cyr's health began to fail due to excessive eating and inactivity. At the time, he weighed 400 pounds. He slimmed down as best he could for the last contest of strength with Hector de Carry. He retained his title, and retired unvanquished. He died on November 10, 1912, in Montreal of chronic nephritis, and was interred at Saint-Jean-de-Matha. Great homage was paid by all of Canada, with immense crowds attending the funeral and floral tributes coming from all over the world. He was portrayed by Antoine Batin in the 2013 biographical film Louis Cyr, L'homme le plus fort de monde, the strongest man in the world. Now, as shown in the movie Louis Cyr, numerous world records. The crucifix, 97 3/4 pounds with the left hand and 88 pounds with the right. The one-handed snatch, 188.5 pounds. One-handed press, 313 pounds. The back lift, 4,337 pounds. The two-handed lift, 1,897 pounds. Now, there's a very interesting statue by Robert Pelletier that's in the Place de l'Homme Fort in Montreal. If you're ever passing there, please check it out. But ladies and gentlemen, if half the stories of Louis Cyr are correct, he is again the strongest man in the history of the world. To say he was the Quebecois Samson would be an understatement. But he basically, when the Olympics involved weightlifting, most Canadians, when we saw participants, well, said, okay, that's good, but he's no Louis Cyr. Alexiev, the Russian, no Louis Cyr. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, most of the legends of Canada are based on 95% fact. So if this was the rough estimates, I think, again, most people who got into bodybuilding or strength looked at Louis Cyr as like saying, maybe there's money into this. I know for a fact that the Weeders once said to Arnold Schwarzenegger, we will make you as big as Louis Cyr. And Schwarzenegger didn't know who that was. And boys, he found out very soon, because Schwarzenegger was a bodybuilder, but he wasn't a strong man. But Louis Cyr, ladies and gentlemen, he was that important to the Canadian sports motif. Like I said, you look like a strong man. The theory of the Quebec strongman, like the lumberjack and stuff like that. And the fact was, he became a huge star, not by staying in Canada, but becoming big in the States as well. And don't forget, Lowell, Boston region, there's a lot of athletics and sports, so that was the best place to be, because the center of the sports entertainment universe of the late 1800s, the early 2000s, was the Boston region. So you're looking Boston and Montreal. But I mean, in the history of the world, ladies and gentlemen, again, he is the strongest man of all time, pound for pound. And like I said, he never reached his peak, because when he put the weight on, he had owned and broken all the records, but it's just tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story of the strongest man in the world ever, the great Quebecois Louis Cyr. If you like what we're doing here with our promotional podcast on Canadian sports history, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.